Oh, okay, good.
Welcome to today's workshop. And today's workshop is on staying healthy in a toxic environment. And especially today, with everything that's going on, you've got to make sure that your body is strong and that you're not suppressing your immune system inadvertently with poisons, basically. And I was just talking to somebody about this, and we were talking about how everybody's so freaked out about germs right now that they are making their environment, that internal environment that we're stuck in, toxic. You know, so here it is. You kill all the germs, but if the germs die, you know, this is toxic to us too. So you have to be aware of that. Yes, maybe you have to keep things clean, but you have to make sure that you are not killing yourself along with it. So that's what today's workshop is going to be about. Things that, just to consider, toxins that are in the environment, toxins that are in their food, and how to avoid them. And by doing so, you're going to make sure that your body is stronger, that you know, you're going to have bugs in your body. That's just the way it is. I was reading a Time Life magazine, a medical magazine that a few years back, and it was talking about bugs that live among us and in us. And it's estimated that there are more bacterial and viral cells within and around our body than we actually have cells in our body. And it's pretty wild. So this whole phobia about bugs is a bit absurd because you can't live without them. Yeah, and you don't want to kill all the good bugs along with the bad bugs here. So, and you don't want to kill yourself along with it, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. First of all, we're going to talk about environmental toxins, things that are around us. And you have to remember that we're the top of the food chain. When it comes to the world, any toxins that we put out into this system, and it's a closed system, come back to us eventually. So that whole thing of dumping, chemicals into streams and all this, it gets into the water system, and then eventually it comes back to us. So you got to keep that in mind with any toxins that are in and around you. You have to protect yourself from these toxins. And remember, the Earth is a closed ecosystem, so what goes around comes around. And everybody talks about going green, but you've got to think first of going green within yourself first, and then talk about your external environment. So, what are these culprits, these toxins that are around us all the time? Some of the most common ones are phthalates and plastics. And since the 1940s, plastics, they weren't here before this. And then we discovered, with petroleum products, plastics, and now it's on everything. It's in everything. And this is one of those chemicals that they call forever chemicals, meaning it gets in the environment and it never goes away because it doesn't break down. Or if it's going to break down, it breaks down over a period of thousands of years. So that's a big problem. These plastics are getting out into our water, they're getting out into our foods, they're in the soils, it's in the plants that we're eating. And the problem is, these plastics, they're toxic. They are very similar to a lot of the hormones. They're similar in structure to a lot of the hormones that are in our bodies. So they emulate these hormones, and your body stops producing them. One of which is estrogen. And just a side thing about this, with this coronavirus thing, they're finding out that more men are being affected by it than women, and when they do get it, more men die from it than women do when they get it. And now they've done studies with other germs that are out there, SARS, in amongst them, where they would inject rats with these bugs, and almost universally it was the males that would actually get it and die from it. And then what they would do is Maria was telling me there's research she was reading on it, they would actually take the ovaries out of these rats, put them back into the population, and then their frequency and rate of death actually went up to the males. So it was the estrogen that was the difference. Now, if you're depleting estrogen in your body, you're decreasing your immunity. Not just to this bug, but to any bug. It also, you need to have estrogen for brain health. You need to have estrogen for bone health. And that goes for males and females. Males produce estrogen too, just not in the quantities that females do. So you don't want to deplete that by getting plastics in your body. So how do you avoid that? Well, first of all, never heat anything up in a microwave that's in plastic. Always take it out of the plastic, put it in a dish, and then heat it up. If you're having something sit out that's not in the fridge, make sure that it doesn't get, like for instance, if you have food sitting out, that it gets too warm and when it's in plastic, because that plastic will leach into that. Make sure that if you're drinking water, that it isn't the crinkly, soft plastic bottles that you're buying. It should be the hard ones. An example of that, I think, is Best water. There's a couple of them that are out there, but basically, if you can just, the bottle itself go like this, and it's hard, well, then that's pretty safe. It's not leaching these phthalates into the plastic or into the water itself. But the problem is, if you're drinking this water, your body, with the plastics in it, or eating this food with the plastics in it, your body can't get rid of it. It's stuck. And it causes cancer, it decreases your immune system. It's an endocrine disruptor, meaning the hormones that your body is trying to produce gets altered, so they're not functional anymore. So try to avoid that as much as you can. Oop. Wrong button. Other culprits that are in our environments, in our houses: ammonia, chlorine, and solvents. And again, these are endocrine disruptors. They are toxic to us. And especially something that you always want, and most everybody knows this, never put these two together, because ammonium chloride is a very highly toxic chemical that will kill you. The fumes will kill you. So don't mix cleaning products together when you're cleaning. These, again, a lot of these are what they call forever chemicals. They get into the system and they stay in the system for a long time. So when you do use these, you want to make sure that you are airing the place out afterwards. It's okay to keep everything clean, yes. But you shouldn't be breathing in these fumes afterwards. So make sure you open the doors, open the windows, just let it air out. And when we're talking about these solvents, ammonium, chloride, glues, that type of thing, that also goes for rugs. You know that nice fresh smell that you have when you have a new car? Everybody loves that smell. It's toxic. It's one of these forever chemicals. And so you want to air it out. Another thing that's very important is if you dry clean your clothes, you need to air them out. Because if you're breathing in those fumes, again, it gets into your system. It's an endocrine disruptor. I hear all the time that so-and-so got cancer, or so-and-so got this or that, or whatever. And they were really healthy people. They really made the effort to be healthy. So what's the difference in this? A lot of times it's these things we're not even aware of that are getting into your body and getting into the system. And over time, it'll kill you. Literally, it'll kill you. So you really have to make sure that you have some knowledge about this. What is around you that's toxic? What are you eating that's toxic? And it's not, some people say, well, like you're just being paranoid, you just gotta live. Well, yes, maybe so, but I tell you, if you can make a choice of eating poison and not eating poison, and it's just as good either way, it'd be foolish not to know which one is which. Heavy metals are another thing. That's in our drinking water. And heavy metals such as mercury, silver, any heavy metals basically that are dissolved into the water itself. And for the most part, they're not even tested for. So a lot of times this tap water that you're drinking, which has heavy metals, which can have PCBs, which are still floating around in our environment, volatile organic compounds, and forever drugs and forever chemicals, they're in the water system. Now, what these volatile organic compounds, a lot of we just discussed what those are. But forever drugs and forever chemicals, those are things like Teflon, plastics. Again, forever drugs are like antidepressant drugs, drugs for, there's a long list of these drugs that people are taking, and then basically, when they stop taking them, they dump them down the toilet. Or what happens is they don't completely break down in our system, so they pass through the system, pass through with the urine, get it back into the water system. Now the thing is, they don't break down, so they're still in their original form, and now you're drinking it. And this is, so most tap water has these chemicals in it, and it has chlorine in it, obviously. They put chlorine in it to kill the bugs, right? Problem is, if it kills the bugs, it's going to kill you too eventually, right? It's in smaller quantities, but taking a small quantity of a poison over time, I think there's a concept that some people think is you can take a small amount of a poison over time and it'll make you immune to that poison. But the truth of the matter is you take a small amount of poison over time, it eventually will cause cell damage, and eventually you're going to break down and you're going to pay the price for it. That's the truth of the matter. So you don't want to be putting this stuff into your system. Fluoride they put that into water and it causes cancer. It's a toxin. Chlorine, the same thing. Chlorinated hydrocarbons are one of the most strong cancer-causing substances out there, and it's converted to that when you're drinking tap water. So, what do you do about all this here? Don't drink tap water right out of the tap. Make sure that you are using a filter of some sort. The best filter is a reverse osmosis filter, which we use here in our office, and I use it at home. You can buy them everywhere nowadays. And basically it just passes the water through 3 filters and cleans all these toxins out of it. So where do you start? In your home. Make sure your household cleaners, if you're going to be using them, which everybody is right now, if you go to the store and the shelves are just cleared out at least. Everybody's just freaked out, but at least we have clean houses, I guess. Make sure that you air the place out after you've cleaned it, because otherwise you're getting it into your system and it's toxic. Detergents, same thing. Dish soaps, plastics, glues. One thing, you're taking it a little bit to the extreme, but it's a fact that most makeup and most hair dyes and that type of thing are highly toxic, and because of the solvents that are in there. They used to put lead in lipstick so that it would stick to your lips. Right? And I think pretty much they stopped doing that because it was killing all the animals that they were testing. But still, most of these, most makeup has toxic chemicals in it. But you have a choice in the matter. You can buy it with or without, and you have nowadays you don't have to have just blindly buying products that have toxins in them. Glues. That's another thing. As far as like, I used to be a carpenter, and when I was a carpenter, we would use glues and we'd use nails. Nowadays, they almost all use glues for it because the glues are so effective. The problem is when that's airing out and it's getting into your environment, it's very, very toxic to you. And so, if you're having a project done at your house, or you yourself are doing it, or you got new carpet put in it, you want to make sure that it gets aired out for a few days before you're actually going to live in that environment. So, now that's what's around you, and we also want to talk about what you're putting into you. And what kind of toxins are in meats? Well, there are hormones such as synthetic testosterone and mainly progesterone, and they give those hormones to the animals to fatten them up, right? With chickens, they actually aren't allowed to actually give those hormones to the chickens, so what do? They give them arsenic, and which is, yeah, I used to golf at one time, and I just decided it was too much of a waste of time because I wasn't very good at it, and it took like a day to do it. But I was golfing with this individual once, and he had he presently was running a chicken farm company in East Texas, and it had been in the family for years. And he was talking about how long it took to get them to market. And he said usually it would take like about 4 months, 5 months to get them to market. And they got it down to 2 months. And I was thinking, how can you possibly get a baby chicken to an adult size in 2 months? And sure enough, it's with hormones. Right? And then the last month of its life, they can't give the hormones anymore, so they give it arsenic, which actually makes it bloat up, and here it is, we're eating this. So you want to make sure that you're eating organic chicken, or chicken at least that says has never had antibiotics or hormones. It has to say it has never, because if it says antibiotic free or hormone free, the FDA changed the rules when Bush was in office, and that means in the last month of its life it didn't have hormones or antibiotics. So it has to say it has never had antibiotics or hormones. And basically they do that to increase profits. They don't do it because it's for the health of the animal and increase the quality of the meat. It's a matter of them selling it by the pound. And the problem is here we're eating it. So what do these hormones and these antibiotics do? They have been proven to cause early puberty in girls, smaller testicles in boys, and slower testicular growth, interference in reproductive organ function in adults. You know that there's a big deal now about erectile dysfunction drugs. You know, everybody has to take, well, the guys, I guess, have to take erectile dysfunction drugs. Why? Why all of a sudden everybody is non-functional in that part of their bodies? You know? Well, this could be part of the problem here, right? And more importantly, increased rates of cancer. Now, and more immediately, what this does, when you got this stuff in your system, your body is trying to deal with this. This is toxic to it. You know, it's not a natural environment, so your body's trying to deal with it. So your immune system suffers. And right now, we cannot afford to be doing things that is suppressing our immune system. You know, if you want to be strong and get through this unscathed, you know, and I was just reading something about that today, is that they're saying that 50% of people who get this coronavirus don't have any symptoms whatsoever. That's 50%. And they're making a big deal about, wow, that's a bad thing. I'm thinking, that's a good thing. So what is the difference? Why is it that some people get this? In fact, 50% of us get this, and you're not even going to be aware that you got it. I mean, that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, because your immune system is strong. That's the difference. You know, it's not the bug, it's the host that determines that. And that's what this is all about. Did you know that in Europe, for years now, they banned the import of all U.S. and Canadian meats, which really gets in the craw of our government. They're fighting with Europe about this, you know, but they're holding fast about this because they don't do this stuff to the meat the way we do. Let's see. Okay, and as far as make sure that you're drinking, what a positive thing to do about this, make sure you're drinking plenty of filtered water. At best, have a pure filter, or I think there's a couple of brands that are like that, where you can actually just put up the faucet itself, but or at minimum having that, but at best have a reverse osmosis system. And like I say, you can buy them everywhere nowadays. And I am the worst plumber in the world, and I hooked that up to my sink. I have another one hooked up at home. I did it myself. It doesn't leak. It works. It's still working. You know, and so if I can do it, anybody can do it. Really, I am the worst plumber in the world. But make sure you're drinking lots of filtered water. Whatever your weight is, divide by half, and that's how many ounces of water you want to drink in a day. Okay, so I weigh a little over 180 pounds. I should be drinking at least 3 quarts of water a day. Right? And that may sound like a lot, but like if you got a cup and you're just drinking it, and through the day you're just drinking it and drinking it and drinking it, or walk around with a water container. We have them here. If you're interested, just ask, we'll get you one. If you have the water with you, you're going to drink it, right? But make sure it's nice, clean water. Make sure you're exercising to get these toxins out of your system. Detox yourself nutritionally and avoid processed foods as much as possible. And nutritionally, the most efficient way to detoxify your body is to fast. But most people don't have the discipline to fast. If you're interested, we have a detox program that is, there's a 4-day and 8-day, right? Okay, yeah, so there's a 4-day program and there's an 8-day, and it's not where you're actually fasting, you're actually detoxifying. And it's a very controlled environment. You are eating through it. And I'll tell you, of the people who have done that and gone through that, it wasn't difficult to do, but they felt great for a long time afterwards. You know, because all these toxins that I'm talking about, you can't escape them entirely. They're all out there. They're getting into your system, and most of these toxins are fat soluble, so they get into your fat cells. And we all have fat cells. You know, that's just the way it goes. So a detox system slowly and gently just gets rid of these fat cells and gets the toxins out of them. So if you're interested, just talk to Maria. She can let you know about that. But there are some foods that you can, or some vitamins that you could be taking that's going to help that. One is milk thistle. This is something I take every day. And milk thistle is a natural liver detox. And your liver is one of your biggest detoxifying organs, and it's working overtime all the time. But this actually will help pull the toxins out of the liver to clean that out. And it's something you don't have to fast, you don't have to change your diet at all. You just take one of these every day. And I do. I take it every day. But also, you want to make sure that you're supplying your cells with what they need to clean out. Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics of the anatomy and physiology of cells, but basically, each cell is like a small little community in and of itself. And there are batteries in there that are running everything. They're the generators. As we get older, the quality and of the function of these batteries gets a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less. And one of the main reasons for that is because our body makes a chemical naturally that it is needed for these batteries to work. It's called CoQ10. As we get older, you need to supplement your diet with CoQ10 to make sure that those batteries are working, because when these toxins get in your system, they need a pump to get it out of the system. And we're talking about every cell, all the cells in our body. They need to pump these toxins out of the system. And if it's not working properly, you're not getting these toxins out of your system properly. So you need to get CoQ10 into your system. Also, you want to take vitamins that are antioxidant, that clean out toxins, again, out of the system. And salmon oil is very good for this. It's good for your nerves, of course. It's good for your cells, but it also is a real powerful antioxidant. And you need to take at least 3,000 milligrams a day of fish oils. Now, part of the problem with fish is they have mercury and PCBs, all the stuff that's in the environment. A lot of these fish, like salmon, for instance, they're not quite at the top of their food chain, but they're pretty close up there. All right, so they're eating a lot of small fish all the time. And the small fish are absorbing these toxins. The higher you are on the food chain, the more concentrated these can be. And you don't know that the fish you're eating actually has toxins or not. I was talking to Whole Foods, because at Whole Foods and H-E-B, Central Market, not H-E-B, but Central Market, they do not have meats that have antibiotics or hormones in it. They just don't get it from producers that have that. But I asked about the fish, and I said, well, how do you control that? And they said, we really have no control over it. We don't know what's in the fish that we're getting. Because what they'll do, they put, like right on the dock, they'll just sort of clean the fish out, they'll spray it, not every time, but some of them do. They'll spray it with preservatives, and like salmon, for instance, they'll spray it with artificial coloring to get that nice pink color. And you don't really know whether you're getting that or not. But in general, wild fish is better than farm raised, but neither is regulated or tested for toxins before coming to the market. The reason wild is better is farm raised, they basically feed the fish processed food, right? Which is processed from, and quite often it's cattle or beef or farm animals that are in there. It's like a dog food kind of thing. Also, there's usually plastics that are in there. They don't regulate really the quality of the food that actually is in these pellets. So here it is, these fish are eating that, and then we eat them. But wild basically has more omega-3s and omega-5s in it. It tends to be cleaner just because it is wild. So how do these toxins that are in fish affect us? They damage our nervous system, the heavy metals do. They damage your liver. They damage your reproductive system. They suppress your immune system, and they cause cancer eventually if you just keep consuming it. Fruits and vegetables. And most of this, you all have heard this before, but I'm just sort of trying to put it into a capsule here for you, just to remind you. But fruits and vegetables, obviously, they have insecticides on them. They have plastics on them, which is like when you see that an arrangement of the fruits and the vegetables just sitting there and they got that nice little sheen on them, that's plastic that they actually sprayed onto it to preserve it and to make it look good. And so it doesn't lose some of its moisture. The problem is you've got to clean that off before you eat that. So what I do is we, at minimum, we do this. We put our fruits and vegetables in the sink and put mild soap on there, just let them soak on that for a while, and then just clean them off. So you need to get this, whatever's on the outside of it, off and clean. But mostly I eat organic. And I know it's more expensive, but I can't afford to be putting these toxins into my system. I want to be around here for another 40 years at least, you know, and healthy and enjoying it, not just be here. And it's an investment. All of this is, if you're aware of this, you can do something about it. This is not something to just freak you out and say, well, you know, what's the use of living, because, you know, because it's everywhere, these toxins. Well, you know, if you can avoid 3/4 of what's out there and just make sure that your body is strong enough to deal with the other quarter, you're going to be ahead of everybody else that's out there that's just ignoring this. But another thing they do with fruits and vegetables nowadays is they irradiate it. Like for instance, strawberries, and some fruits, peaches, and things of that nature, if they're coming from, let's say, South America or whatever, they irradiate it so that the bugs don't eat it. But if the bugs won't eat it, what are we doing eating it? Right? If the bugs are smart enough not to eat this stuff, then why are we eating it? Right? So, and they don't have to tell you what's been irradiated and what's not. But if you get organic, you're pretty much taking that out of the equation. How do those toxins affect us? They suppress your immune system function, decrease nervous system function, and if your nervous system is not working right, nothing's working up to its optimum in your body. It's just the way it goes. They disrupt your endocrine system, meaning your hormones in your body are not being produced properly. You know, when I say it disrupts your endocrine system, what that leads to is that high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, high cholesterol, all of this stuff is regulated by your endocrine system. You know, your reproductive organs, that's the thing, it's your endocrine system. It regulates everything. It's your blood pressure, your you know, everything. You know, even your brain is regulated by that. So if that's being disrupted, your body isn't working right. And over time, you're going to start to get symptoms. And we call that disease or disease. You know, people ask me, why all of a sudden I developed this? Well, you didn't all of a sudden develop it. Well, it was a matter of time. It finally got to the straw that broke the camel's back. Right? So a little bit of knowledge is going to help you to prevent that kind of thing. Decreases male reproductive function, miscarriage, and cancer. So to detox, again, just a little recap. Milk thistle is essential. It's something you want to take all the time. Fish oils or krill oils. I take krill oil myself. The smaller or the lower it is on the food chain, the cleaner it tends to be. All right. So krill is what all these fish eat. But these are both fish oils, but this tends to be cleaner and they're more concentrated. But it is more expensive. That's but even if you're going to have, either way, you want to have at least 3,000 milligrams per day, otherwise it's not effective as an antioxidant. Plant oils such as olive oil, coconut oil, canola oil, avocado oil. Avocado oil is great because you can cook in it and it's got a higher burn point than olive. Well, canola oil also has a high burn point, but olive oils and these plant oils, they tend to burn at a lower temperature. You know, but you can cook with these ones here, these coconut, avocado, canola oil. CoQ10, vitamin D, they're to detox your system, but also to boost your immune system. lots of antioxidants, fruits and vegetables. And if you want to get a lot more information about this, we have a nutritional workshop where we go into a little more detail with this. But when you're talking about these antioxidants, fruits and vegetables, that's for the health of those batteries in your cells. Because otherwise they start to wear down because of the toxins. Right? But this actually builds them back up and protects them. So as you get older, you need to eat more fruits and vegetables. You know, kids, sometimes it's almost impossible to get them to eat vegetables. It's important to eat vegetables, but not as much as you as an adult. And the older you get, the more important that becomes. So make sure the more color, the better. Lastly, in an environment full of toxins, knowledge is power. Pay attention, because the information's out there. You know, one good source that seems pretty objective most of the time is WebMD. Mercola is a great source. He's a medical doctor, but he's more of a naturopath, more naturally inclined. He's got great information out there. But beware, because misinformation is out there too. Check your sources. You know, a lot of times I'll have these discussions with people and I'll go, oh, that's good, that's very interesting. And what was your source? Most people don't know where they're getting this information from. It's their second, third hand, and that's the same thing with this coronavirus thing. Most of the stuff we're reading out there is by reporters. We don't know squat about it, And you want to get your information from the people who are on the front line, the medical people, the medical personnel. But same with this too. You want to make sure, okay, this is from a valid source, not from. So I read an article once, and I should have made a copy of it because it was comical almost. But this reporter was extolling the benefits of Diet Coke and how it's really not bad for you. And it's this and that. She's going on and on and on. I'm thinking, it's just like there's no argument for that it's good for you. It's not. I mean, it's just so much of these toxins we were just talking about. That's it. That's the epitome of toxicity almost. So just because it's a written word doesn't mean it's the truth. You really check your sources with this. And everybody's got plenty of time nowadays. So get online, look it up, sort of wade your way through all the different information that's out there to try to get something that's valid and something that can help you. All right, and I think that'll do it for today. I hope that was useful. We do have a handout, so if you're interested, just ask Maria for it. She can make a copy for you.